just reaching out to some of the group members, and the Lord kind of brought something to mind I hadn't really thought about. This group is about redeeming your marriage, and what He brought to mind is the fact that this is really, when you're in this space, when you're trying to restore, it's usually a painful process. And I haven't really said much about that. Um, I haven't walked the path. I know it's very uncomfortable. You're feeling a lot of fear. You're worried. You don't know how to respond to things. You used to have a family unit that you no longer have if you're there. Maybe some of you still have your family unit and you're struggling with them. Um, and you're wondering, where is God right now? And guess what? He's right there with you. Uh, but the reality is, it doesn't feel like He's there with you. I'm sure when Jesus was on that cross and they were nailing Him, you know, um, they were killing Him. He even felt like God had forsaken Him. Um, you know, our circumstances at times can make us feel like there's no hope, make us feel like our God isn't there. But the reality is, God's always there. I give you an example if you have children. A child could be in the room and you could be there and you be watching them. And depending on what's going on in their circumstances, what they're doing, if they can't see you, they could feel very hopeless, feeling like everything's falling out, and you step in and you come to the rescue. But before you do that, that child's world seems like it could be falling apart. And when I say child, I think of a little baby. And I use an example because in terms of where we are and where God is, that we are like children of God, right? Um, he sees everything, knows everything. We only see what's in our world, right? And unfortunately, sometimes, what we're seeing doesn't look good, but we can't see what's on the other side of the hill, right? We're only seeing what's there. And what I'm trying to say is, what you're seeing right now doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, but it's not the end of the story. You know, think about the end of the story of Christ on the cross. We're the end of that story. Us having a relationship, we can talk to the God of the universe who knows no bounds, who's not bounded by anything, who can achieve anything, not only in the world for himself, but in our lives, in our world. I guess what I'm trying to say is, a lot of what you will struggle with in this time is perspective. And I'm not gonna stand here and say the perspective isn't real. Okay. What I'm here to say to you, it's not the end. You don't have to give up. There is more coming that you don't understand, you don't know. But guess who does? God. He does. So in this time, how do you lean into it? If you listen to Psalm 23, David talks about this. Let me put, David's life was Saul, the person who he respected as a leader, was after him for half of his life, was trying to kill him. He was constantly on the run. Okay. When he writes in Psalm 23 about, you know, being pursued in the valley of the shadow of death, I guess what I'm trying to say is, right now, probably the Psalms will be rather comforting because you can hear people who are expressing the emotion of being in that time where it looks like everything was falling apart. And if it looks that way in your marriage, just know it's temporary. This is just a season. And here's this. I want to tell you this because nobody is telling you this. Whatever you're experiencing is fixable. I don't care what it is. I'm telling you. You know the God of the universe. There is nothing he cannot do. The challenge you're going to have is how do you believe him when you don't feel like everything is not good? So the challenges in your walk is going to be how you feel, okay, versus what you know. No. He says have faith in him, which means to do what? To believe him without seeing what you want. And that's the hard part. I have to tell you, it was tough when I was in that place. My wife was gone and I was alone. I was hurting. My child was gone. I didn't have a family anymore. And what do? You still believe in your God because he didn't leave. It feels like he left, but he's still in the room. He's right here with me. Now, my words may not be 100% comforting to you right now because it's not changing your circumstances, and I can't change that. But you can. You can be at peace in the room knowing that your God is there and he's got you. You can be at peace with the problem you're having with your spouse right now to know that your God is there and he sees and he knows. And you can talk to him. You can bring him your concern. You can tell him what you're worried about. You can pour out your heart to him. You can let him know what you're feeling. It's okay to have the feelings, but let it out. If you can't talk to your spouse about it, spend the time. Just, I got up in this morning, I was having some feelings. I went outside and I just talked to him. Told him, he knows anyway, but you know what it does? Gives me a sense of peace to know that I can release the tensions, the worry, the things that seem to be pressing in on me, to know that somebody knows, someone cares. Now, that's a habit you got to develop.